Whoopsie, I forgot to turn off the loop. I thought I did. All right. Yep. Okay. My audio is selected to the right thing. Just making sure because sometimes it doesn't. Good morning. Today is Friday, September 27th. Thank you for joining me. And I am Jessica for Justice. If you've never been here before, let's see. Who do I have here this morning? Tash, SDK, K Scarpetta. Hopefully I said that right. Defense Attorney Meow, Disney Nerd 85, Lily Polly, Yvette, Amanda Davis, Candace. Good morning. Good morning. Carrie, good morning. Thank you guys for being here. Totally last minute decision. So I appreciate y'all. Let me see. Whoop. Well, close enough, right? Everything looks okay. There we go. So I am using a different computer than I normally do. So let me know if there's any issues. Um, this computer should be a lot better. One of my friends in New York has a bunch of computers, and my 2016 MacBook Pro has been dying. So she sent me a 2018 MacBook Pro, which is way better than the one I had. I had 8 gigs of RAM on the other computer, like 256 gigs of space, and then I don't even remember what the processor was. So my computer has been struggling streaming, and it kernel panicked and had turned the display purple the other day, and all this other stuff. So I knew it was the logic board dying. Um, so this computer has 32 gigs of RAM and a terabyte of space. So way better. I should not have as many issues as I have had streaming. So we will see. Hopefully this is better for all of us. I want to do some video editing, so I definitely needed a new computer. Now I just need to get a not Logic. I can't remember what the Apple video editing software is. I can't remember. There's too many. Anyway, so of course there is a lot of stuff going on. There always is. Oh, Carrie, you're so sweet. There's always stuff going on. I feel like every time I go through the news, there's so much going on. I really have to choose what to put, and sometimes even I don't get through all the videos. So there's some updates with Diddy. There's some updates in some of the trials that's been going on. There's was Young Dolph's trial had a verdict. There's another hip hop homicide that is going on right now, court wise. Ah, oh my gosh, calm down, computer. Okay, there we go. All right. Let me see what we're going to do to get started. And there's a lot of political corruption uh, today. Unfortunately, it seems like there's a lot going on in New York. There's a lot going on in Texas with politics. Uh, and not going to get into the whole thing with politics, but definitely going to talk about the corruption and stuff that's going on. Because I don't care what party you're on, you don't get to do some of these things that people have been doing, especially the New York City Mayor, Eric Adams. There's a lot going on with him. He was just indicted. There were some fire chiefs that have been arrested. 2 New York fire chiefs have been arrested because of what's going on with him. A bunch of his staff has resigned. There's so much going on. So, first, so not a major update in Diddy. There are more lawsuits. There's more lawsuits going on. Now, the lawyer that's handling the lawsuits in Texas, he's representing 50 plus people that are suing Diddy, and it's Tony Busby. If you're from the Houston area, then you know who Tony Busby is because he's everywhere. He has been in everything. He ran for mayor, he ran for something else. He's always into something. He helped with Ken Paxton's trial that just happened, or the indictment with him. He's everywhere. Everywhere has an attorney that's like that, and that's Tony Busby. So just a quick little video about that. So Puff Daddy, P Diddy, whatever he goes by now, has so many lawsuits. I don't know if anyone has a number, but he's got 50 plus more. And yes, New York City, huge mess. Kernel panics. Yes, kernel panics are so much fun. And for those of you that don't know what a kernel panic is and don't have a Mac, it's like the blue screen on Windows, except this is definitely hardware related. So, and I worked at Apple for 10 years, so I know. All right, so gonna start some of these videos and also have some judges that we're going to discuss today. There seems to be a lot of judges with bad behavior recently, and do a quick update on Hurricane Helen. Even though I don't live in Florida anymore, it's really hard for me to not pay attention to what's going on when these hurricanes happen, because I'm from there and I've been through major storms. So I get anxiety even though I'm not even in the state. All right. So we're going to start off with Tony Busby, and then I have a lot of footage to go over with the mayor of New York. There's a lot of news clips. So there's going to be a lot. And there's also going to be a lot discussing the Venezuelan gangs that are coming in, because there's a specific gang that is causing issues. You know, MS-13 was an issue for a while. So this gang is causing issues in Chicago, New York, Texas. So we're going to talk about that as well. And apparently in Chicago, the gangbangers there are taking on the Venezuelan gangs. It's a lot. All right, so we're gonna play this quick video. Am I sharing my screen? I am not. Doot, 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 doot. Oh Jesus. Sorry, hold on. I gotta turn on permission for stuff because this is a new computer. It didn't want to share later. Okay, let's see if this works. I swear to God, if I have to reboot it. Okay. All right. You guys see the screens. Oh, somebody bought me a coffee on the app. I can't see who it is. I have to look, but whoever just sent that to me, thank you. I appreciate you. Okay. So let me play this quick video, and then I have also a court video of the sheriff that shot the judge. It's about a 9-minute video, and it's the hearing for that case. There's been a lot of rumors around that. There's no confirmation yet, but definitely something strange going on with the Kentucky sheriff that shot the judge.
Faking a pregnancy for financial gain.
Today, prosecutors filed.
That's not the video I wanted. That's not Tony Busby. we're gonna get to that video, but hold on.
And welcome back to The Factor Uncensored, a Factor exclusive tonight. Famed Houston attorney Tony Busby is taking on Sean P. Diddy Combs. Today, Busby confirmed to me he has been retained by at least, get this, 55 people who are suing the hip-hop mogul. Busby says those cases vary from sex assault to sexual abuse and trafficking. They're expected to be filed in about a week or so in court. Busby also expects a number of plaintiffs to continue to rise, but he did not indicate to me where all of the alleged victims are located. These cases are all civil cases and not criminal. Busby says he will make a public statement on
Friday. Okay, so today, Tony Busby will be making a statement about these lawsuits. Yeah, Busby he's an interesting character. Oh, he also ran for city council. He ran against a city council member that is pretty well liked, and he lost. So, yeah. Back to the other video about the woman faking a pregnancy for financial gain. Don't do that. I hate when people lie about stuff to try to get money, like cancer or, pregnancy, because then it makes other people have trouble believing others. Like when my mom had cancer, the insurance only covered so much. It doesn't cover prosthetics and things like that. And I tried to raise money and I only raised $800. And if it wasn't for the doctor seeing my pleas online, she never would have gotten the prosthetics that she needed, because my mom lost her nose and her upper jaw to cancer, and insurance wouldn't cover that. It was like 20 some $1,000, and this doctor donated everything. But that's another story for another day.
A local woman is accused of faking a pregnancy for financial gain.
Today, prosecutors filed criminal charges against that woman. It's a case our specialty reporting team, Lighthouse, has been tracking since first finding a search warrant last month.
Hi there. Are you Ashley?
Why? Lighthouse reporter Ben Jordan is in Waukesha tonight to break down these new charges.
Prosecutors allege a woman named Ashley Kinney convinced her family she was pregnant and had a stillborn birth. In the process, investigators say she received gifts before and after what police are calling a fake pregnancy. This criminal complaint goes on to claim Kinney forged an application for a stillborn death certificate in the name of a doctor at Waukesha Memorial Hospital, a doctor who wasn't even working here at the time. Court records take us back to July, when prosecutors say Kinney went to this Waukesha funeral home to inquire about a stillborn funeral. Kinney is accused of telling the funeral director that she had a stillbirth at Waukesha Memorial Hospital 3 days prior, so the funeral director called the hospital to make funeral arrangements. According to court documents, hospital staff said there was no record of the defendant being a patient at the hospital. The funeral director got police involved to locate the stillborn baby after realizing the remains weren't at the hospital or the medical examiner's office. The criminal complaint alleges Kinney's step-grandfather told detectives he visited her in mid-June, and at the time, her belly was getting large. Prosecutors say Kinney's mother told them the family threw Kinney a baby shower months earlier and brought her gifts. Police say Kinney's mom said her daughter never let anyone touch or see her belly, and she never invited anyone to any OBGYN appointments. Police executed this search warrant at Kinney's home. A Waukesha police detective said he recovered an apparatus made of pillowcases and packing or duct tape that was designed to replicate a pregnant baby. The criminal complaint alleges Kinney admitted to investigators that she would put it on and take it off depending on who she was around. Detectives say they also went through Kinney's online search history. It showed she looked for beautiful stillborn baby photos to show her family and searched how late a miscarriage can happen. Investigators say they asked Kinney's sister why Kinney lied about her pregnancy, and her sister replied, maybe for money. I went to Kinney's listed address to ask her that question. No one answered the door, but someone came to the upstairs window. Hi there. Are you Ashley?
Why?
I'm a reporter with TMJ4 doing a story about how you're accused of faking a pregnancy. Would you be willing to come down and talk to me about these allegations?
I'm just going.
So Ashley isn't here?
I mean, she is.
Could you ask Ashley to come down? Kinney never came out. Kinney is charged with identity theft for financial gain and felony bail jumping. She's due back in court next month. Reporting in Waukesha, Ben Jordan, TMJ4 News.
Lighthouse is our specialty.
Why? Why would you go to a funeral home and ask? What process did you think that they were going to do, lady? I don't... That was pretty stupid. Yeah, I think they meant a pregnancy, not a pregnant baby. I feel like people that do stuff like that, there's some mental illness. I'm surprised they didn't catch that and edit it because it wasn't alive. story. Let's see. Let me move this down to. Let me move the New York stuff all together. Here we go. Here's the mayor. All right. So we are going to get started with New York City. New York City. You guys remember that Pace Picante sauce commercial? Yeah, that lady definitely needs help. I fully agree. I want to know, like, why. Why? Did you get money? How much money? So, yes, New York City Mayor Eric Adams was indicted. He is supposed to appear in court today. So, let me see. Can I log into my Twitter account? I don't know if I have it logged in yet. So, somebody shared all the indictments, and let me see. What the heck is my... Oh, it is saved. Okay, hold on one second. I'll pull up all the indictments real quick so we can go over them together. Holy shit. Atlanta is flooding. Wow. I wasn't expecting that. Like, I knew that they were going to get stuff, but Georgia's definitely not prepared for that. Funny, one of my friends just moved from Florida to Georgia thinking she was going to escape that stuff, and it followed her there. A guy with a kayak in his home. Okay, now let me go to my profile and search for Eric Adams, and then I'll find what I'm looking for. Oh my gosh, let's see how far back I went. Well, while I'm looking, I'll play a different video, and then we'll get into the mayor. Let me play something else. Otherwise, I'm just going to be sitting there with my mouth open. So a judge in Ohio was removed by the Supreme Court. There's been a couple judges that have gotten in trouble lately. There's two that are suspended in Harris County, felony court judges. Yeah. Are people just getting worse? Or I feel like there's a lot more of this than there used to be. Or are they just getting caught more? Play.
A local judge removed from the bench for violations. The Ohio Supreme Court saying he was running a debtor's prison. Dan DeRose is here to explain the accusations and the removal. This does not happen often at all.
No, it does not. The order came out today that he was to be removed immediately. We're talking about the Stowe Municipal Judge Kim Hoover. This is Mr. Hoover. We've been in his courtroom previously. This was from a vehicular homicide sentencing. Here is what the accusations are and were believed by the Ohio Supreme Court. That's who has to remove a judge. Now, there were 16 criminal cases, and in those criminal cases, according to the Ohio Supreme Court, there were 48 violations. Here's what he was doing. These are all Code of Judicial Conduct violations. He had two defendants jailed for failure to pay court costs or fines. He then went on to threaten 14 others or coerce them with the threat of going to jail to make them pay their fines. Here was what was in the opinion written by the Ohio Supreme Court judge. Hoover leaned into the idea of a debtor's prison, unlawfully incarcerating or threatening to incarcerate individuals for the non-payment of fines without due process. Goes on to write, and unconstitutionally incarcerated or threatening incarcerated individuals for non-payment of court costs. Now, there is a way a judge can go after somebody who hasn't paid fines. This is not the way to do it, according to the Ohio Supreme Court. Now, in their finding, they said that the judge was trying to take the burden off of taxpayers in Stowe, that it should be the defendants and the criminals paying their bills to run that court. That's simply not how it goes. I did call the municipal judge, the municipal court in Stowe today. They said he did not show up and he will not be returning to their court. I also reached out to his bailiff to try and get a hold of the judge to get his reaction. We have not heard back as of yet.
You're not going to hear back. That's ridiculous. Unconstitutionally. Come on, judge. Like nobody was going to complain about that. Come on now. So in the Young Dolph murder trial, there was a verdict and it was guilty. So for those of you that don't know, Young Dolph was a rapper in Memphis, and it's so stupid. It started out as local rapper beef between Yo Gotti and Young Dolph, and Yo Gotti's older brother put a hit out on Young Dolph, and Young Dolph was in town in Memphis. So this is like a few days before Thanksgiving. He was in town to hand out turkeys in his community, and he was getting cookies for his kids when he was shot. Like it, yeah, he was trying to do good and was still taken out over some stupid beef. So Justin Johnson, who is one of 4 or 5 defendants, was found guilty. Ooh, shaking.
We have a verdict to the members of the public. If you don't think you're going to be able to not show any emotion during the reading of this verdict, I ask you to remove yourself now. There won't be, the court won't tolerate any outburst of any sort from anyone. You will bring me in.
Ready, Your Honor?
Yes.
The jury is now entering to the courtroom.
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, have you reached a verdict?
We have, Your Honor.
Four person. If you would stand and read your verdict, please.
We, the jury, find the defendant guilty of conspiracy to commit first-degree murder as charged in count 1 of the indictment. We, the jury, find the defendant guilty of first-degree murder as charged in count 2 of the indictment. And we, the jury, find the defendant guilty of convicted felon in possession of a firearm as charged in count 3 of the indictment.
Thank you. Juror number 1, is that your verdict? Juror number 34, is that your verdict?
Yes.
Juror number 35, is that your verdict?
Yes.
Juror number 11, is that your verdict?
Yes.
Juror number 14, is that your verdict?
Yes, ma'am.
Juror number 17, is that your verdict?
Yes, ma'am.
Juror number 27, is that your verdict?
It is, Your Honor.
Juror number 33, is that your verdict?
Yes.
Juror number 25, is that your verdict?
Yes.
Juror number 44, is that your verdict?
Yes.
Juror number 23, is that your verdict?
Yes, ma'am.
Juror number 28, is that your verdict?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you again for your time and attention to this matter this week. Our system of self-government would not work without your service and sacrifice that you made. Thanks again for your time and attention. You are excused.
Jury's excused.
Interesting. Are they going to sentence him now? I don't know. Did
Mr.
they?
Johnson, the jury has found you guilty of conspiracy to commit first-degree murder, and convicted felon in possession of a firearm. As the 13th juror, I affirm this verdict. As to the first-degree murder, I sentence you to life in prison. I will set punishment as to the conspiracy and the convicted felon in possession of a firearm after a sentencing hearing. The date for that hearing will be November 1st?
Yes, Your Honor.
November 1st. There's nothing else to take up?
We will prepare the judgment sheet, pass that forward, Judge.
Thank you. And the pre-sentence report. The order for the pre-sentence report.
Sir, let's get that, we'll get those to you.
Thank you.
Yeah, that judge is quick. That is Tennessee. This is Memphis. So life in prison. Yeah. I guess we'll see. Let's see. I'm gonna play that a little later. I do have a clip of the court with the sheriff, but I'll play that in a minute. So, for those of you that don't know, I do not have my own children. I've been thinking about fostering. So that's something that I've looked into. I would love to do, not right now, maybe in the next couple years. So the next story definitely really upsets me. There was a foster family that is guilty of abusing the children that they were supposed to take care of. Let's see. Defense attorney Meow, I would think that she would need to see the pre-sentence report. I don't know. They are going back on November 1st, but I wasn't sure what that was. All right, so the next story, and this is in Turpin.
A Paris man, along with his wife and daughter, have admitted to abusing foster children placed in their care, including several of the Turpin siblings.
You may remember the Turpins were rescued from an abusive home where their parents inflicted trauma on them and kept them imprisoned. But for 6 of them, the cruelty didn't end when they entered foster care. Inland Empire Bureau Chief Rob McMillan has the latest from today's court hearing.
They're the 3 foster parents accused of abusing 9 children in their care, including several of the Turpin children. This week, pleading guilty to multiple counts of child abuse. Marcelino Olguin could face 7 years in state prison. His wife, Rosa, and daughter, Lenice, could face probation. Before being placed in foster care, the horrors the Turpin children endured inside their home in Paris were well documented. The siblings facing years of torture at the hands of their parents until one of them bravely escaped from their home in 2018, calling 911.
Okay, I live in a family of 15 people, and my parents are abusing. They abuse us, and my 2 little sisters right now are chained up.
The parents, David and Louise Turpin, were then arrested, later sentenced to prison. Some of the older Turpin children speaking out at the hearing.
My parents took my whole life from me, but now I'm taking my life back.
But the younger Turpin children would be placed in the foster care system And even though money had poured in from all over the world for the siblings, life wouldn't get much easier.
Well, they're living in squalor. They're living in crime-ridden neighborhoods.
And worse, many of the Turpin children would then be subjected to child abuse, this time at the hands of their foster parents. An arrest declaration saying that the Olguins indeed knew of the egregious, lifelong, severe abuses the biological parents inflicted on the children, and pressure questioned the siblings and forced them to participate in a circle confession talk where they would share details about their traumatic past. Documents also indicating the Turpins were confined to their rooms with alarms placed on the doors. Marcelino Olguin accused of sexually abusing 4 of them.
The Olguins are scheduled to be back in court for sentencing in October.
Breaking news right now into the KSAT 12 news desk.
No. I'm sorry, what? He sexually abused them too, and he's only facing 7 years? No. He deserves life in prison. If you're going to take on the role of a foster parent, you're supposed to be a protector, and then for you to break that trust with these poor children that have already been abused, like, throw away the key. Absolutely not. I don't even know what state that is, where there's a Paris, Perris. California. That's a huge failure in the foster system. We already know that the foster system's broken. So many kids fall through the cracks, but you would think that kids that had been through what they've been through, that you would make sure that they have top-notch foster parents, that they would be put in a safe and healthy environment. They get probation. I might be outside the court when they are done with the case, because, yeah, I don't even want to say what I would do. They deserve all the horrible things in the world. So moving on to San Antonio, another young kid, well, to me, anybody under 25 is a kid, arrested for shooting up a party in Southwest. I think this might be the story that I had shared maybe a month or so ago, where the kids were breaking into homes that were under construction that were mostly done and have power and stuff to party, and then they had found a shot dead teenager. So I think that this might be it. And good. And the video that I saw from that party was pretty scary, because it's a group of teenagers and they have guns, and not just guns, long rifles. So they're over there partying, looking like ISIS, holding their gun and having it up and dancing around with it like this. Like, the hell are you guys thinking?
Involving a murder that's a month old and a 21-year-old suspect.
That suspect walked in front of our cameras earlier this afternoon. Zaria Oates has been covering this for us. Zaria, you got an update from the Bexar County Sheriff about this case. What did he have to say?
Yeah, Myra, 20-year-old Jonathan Ariola has been charged with murder and aggravated assault with a deadly weapon. This all stems back from a house party back on March 9th, 2024, where 21-year-old Desiree Rivera was shot and killed. There was another person who was also shot and injured in that incident. Now, Ariola has been charged with 2 charges in this case. This is him on your screen right now. But in this case, the Bexar County Sheriff's Department says they are still looking for additional individuals that are connected to this case. Sheriff Salazar says that at least 4 other people were inside of the vehicle with Ariola at the time of the shooting. Sheriff Salazar also tells us that several social media videos that they obtained through warrants showed video that you could hear the audio of an automatic weapon on. So he's asking that if anyone knows any additional information regarding this shooting, this incident, anything about anyone who may have been connected to this, that you reach out to Bexar County Sheriff's Department. Now, the person that was charged in this incident, Jonathan Ariola, he was found in Brownsville, so they're not 100% certain that everyone will be in San Antonio. So if you do have any information as to the 4 individuals who could have been in the car with Ariola, please contact the Bexar County Sheriff's Department. Live downtown.
Yeah, I think that's a different deadly teenage party shooting. It's not the one I was thinking of. That's scary that there's more enough that I get confused. So it seems like this month is the month of executions. There's been 3 executions so far this month, and another one happened in Alabama. Now, the other ones that happened were a traditional execution with the medication and, puts them to sleep, stops their breathing. So Alabama is using nitrogen, and they used it once before, and I don't think it went that well because it took a lot longer than it should have for the person to die. Like, he was gasping for breath and like seizing, probably very traumatic for people that were there to see. Because even if we're going to do the death penalty, we at least to make sure that they're not being tortured at the end. And so this was the second one in U.S. history in Alabama, this one. And it also did not go as well. I saw a reporter tweeting about it and said that there was similar. There was minutes of him trying to gasp for breath and stuff like that. So it seems like they need to work out the kinks on that before they try it again. It's like they're experimenting while they're doing this. So this was the execution of Alan Eugene Miller.
New at 10, Alan Eugene Miller was executed tonight. Miller was sentenced to death after being convicted of capital murder.
In 1999, he murdered 3 people in Pelham. Miller was put to death by nitrogen hypoxia, and this is the second time ever in the U.S. Miller survived an execution attempt in 2022 by lethal injection when they were unable to access his veins. ABC 3340's Valerie Bell witnessed the execution and shares more about what happened tonight in Atmore.
Alan Eugene Miller was executed Thursday evening. The drapes opened at 6:12 p.m. and closed at 6:32. He was strapped to a gurney and had a mask on. He spoke. His remarks ended by saying, quote, "I didn't do anything to be on death row. Thank you." When the gas appeared to start flowing, Miller could be seen shaking and gasping for air. Miller's time of death was reported at 6:38 p.m.
Everything went according to plan and according to our protocol.
This was the second time in Alabama that nitrogen hypoxia was used as the method of execution.
Just like in Smith, we talked about there's going to be involuntary body movements as the body is depleted of oxygen. So that was nothing we did not expect.
Miller did have family members and attorneys present for the execution. The victims' families were not in attendance. In Atmore, Valerie Bell, ABC 3340 News.
Governor Kay Ivey saying in a statement tonight that justice has been served and she hopes the families of those murdered can find comfort. And Alabama Attorney General Steve Marshall echoing that sentiment of justice, asking the people of Alabama to join him in prayer for the victims and their families.
Other states are definitely going to start using other methods like this because the drug companies are restricting the access to those drugs. Let's see, it does sound like agonal. Did I say that right? Pretty common. I mean, if they're unconscious, then whatever. I think it just looks bad because the reporter that had tweeted about it seemed pretty traumatized by what she saw. But I don't know anything about when people, what nitrogen does. All right, so now we're going to discuss Mayor Eric Adams. So I'm going to read all the things that he's accused of. Number 1, accepting illegal travel benefits. From 2015 to 2021, multiple instances of free or heavy discounted business class flights on Turkish Airlines, free or discounted luxury hotel stays in Turkey and other countries, free meals, transportation, and entertainment in Turkey. 2, soliciting and accepting illegal campaign contributions 2018 to 2023, accepting straw donations from Turkish business people and their employees, soliciting and accepting contributions from foreign nationals, orchestrating schemes to funnel foreign money through US-based straw donors. 3, wire fraud related to public matching funds 2018 to 2024. Falsely certifying compliance with campaign finance laws, submitting fraudulent claims for matching funds based on illegal contributions, obtaining over $10 million in public funds through these false claims. Number 4, bribery. 2021 to 2022, pressuring the fire department to allow occupancy of the Turkish house without proper fire safety inspection, accepting luxury travel benefits in exchange for this official action. Number 5, concealment and obstruction ongoing, omitting gifts from annual financial disclosure forms, creating false payment records for free travel, deleting communications with co-conspirators, attempting to coordinate responses to federal investigation. Specified instances include 2018, directing staff to accept illegal foreign contributions from a Turkish businessman. 2019, soliciting illegal contributions during a trip to Turkey. 2020, accepting straw donations from a construction company owner. 2021, intervening with the fire department for Turkish consulate building approval. 2023, orchestrating a scheme to accept foreign donations through straw donors for 2025 campaign. So, and then the specific criminal acts, the bribery in 2021. So, and the business class flights to Ghana for Adams and his partner were worth over $14,000. And then he accepted 10,000 in straw donations from the construction company. He helped that person with department building issues. Department of Buildings, yeah. He accepted another $10,000 from Turkish University. Straw donations accepted $22,000. Accepting foreign contributions. So foreign nationals paid over $5,000 to attend an event and money was funneled through US citizens. Luxury travel benefits, multiple instances of accepting free business class flights, luxury hotels. He got a free stay in the Cosmopolitan Suite of St. Regis, Istanbul. Isn't St. Regis a very high-end hotel? So straw donations, it's like a straw sale with what if someone's buying a gun. So it's where you do it through somebody else. Like if somebody does a straw sale with a gun, I would basically go to someone and say, hey, can you buy me that gun and then give it to me? So it's the same thing with the donations. This person's going, hey, I want you to donate to this person, but I need you to do it for me. So that's what that is. Oh yeah, this was funny too. During a voluntary interview with the FBI surrounding this criminal conduct in question, an Eric Adams staffer excused herself to the bathroom and then wiped her phone of all the messages implicating her and Adams in the crime and deleted the apps. That's not, yeah. It's a shit show. So he says it's a witch hunt. I don't think so. Because then also the New York fire department chiefs have been arrested. So I don't think that it's, a witch hunt. And then the New York COVID czar was also caught on camera about bragging about sex parties. So just a whole bunch of shit going on in New York. So we're going to play a couple videos about Eric Adams, then the fire chiefs that were arrested, connected. I'm assuming it has to do with those buildings getting passed without inspection and that stuff. And then the COVID czar bragging about attending sex parties with wife. I don't know if he means Diddy or just sex parties in general, because I mean, what somebody does in their private life, I don't care. But I don't know. We'll find out what kind of sex parties. I don't know. Hold on. Yeah, so he's going to be in court in any minute if he hasn't been already today. Oh, let me see. Play.
To the latest on the indictment of New York City Mayor Eric Adams.
In just a few short hours, Mayor Adams will make history as the first sitting mayor to face a judge on federal crimes. Adams is being charged with 5 counts. The unsealed indictment revealing charges including conspiracy to commit wire fraud, solicitation of a contribution by a foreign national, and bribery.
If he is convicted of all charges, he could face up to 45 years in prison. We have live team coverage covering all the angles this morning. Natalie Duddridge is at Gracie Mansion, but we start with Christina Fan outside the courthouse. And Christina, what are you hearing about how this court appearance will go down?
Well, Cindy, the mayor's arraignment is scheduled for noon today, but we are now learning that his attorney hopes to push his initial court appearance until next week. Either way, as you can see behind us, the scene is set for his arrival in front of the federal courthouse. There are rows and rows of barricades present here. Now, prosecutors allege that the mayor engaged in a years-long scheme, accepting gifts and money in exchange for political favors, and then lied to the public about it.
I follow the rules. I follow the law. I do not do anything that's going to participate in illegal campaign activity.
Mayor Adams denied all accusations detailed in a sprawling 57-page indictment, accusing him of seeking and accepting improper gifts like luxury travel and illegal campaign contributions from wealthy foreign business people and at least one Turkish government official since he was Brooklyn Borough president. His alleged undisclosed travel dates back to 2016, totaling to more than $100,000.
He told the public he received no gifts, even though he was secretly being showered with them.
Prosecutors say illegal campaign contributions came via straw donors, people who contribute someone else's money to hide the illegal source. In return for the illicit benefits, Adams allegedly used his influence to pressure the FDNY to open a new high-rise housing Turkey's consulate in Manhattan, despite safety concerns.
Laws that are designed to ensure that officials like him serve the people, not the highest bidder, not a foreign bidder, and certainly not a foreign power.
The indictment also detailed how Adams and his staff allegedly tried hiding their criminal conduct, stating that the mayor's campaign fundraiser called Adams 5 times while the FBI was at her door with a search warrant. According to the indictment, she then spoke to FBI agents, but refused to say who paid for her 2021 travel to Turkey. And prosecutors say another different Adams staffer also agreed to speak with the FBI, but then excused herself to go use the bathroom where she allegedly deleted encrypted messaging applications she had used to communicate with the mayor. If found guilty on all 5 counts, Adams faces up to 45 years in prison. Reporting live from Lower Manhattan, Christina Fan, CBS News, New York.
Christina, thank you. 6:05 in this morning, some local leaders are calling on the mayor to step down, but the mayor says he's focused on running the city, and he does have supporters. Natalie Duddridge is live outside Gracie Mansion on the Upper East Side. Natalie, good morning.
Good morning, Mary. Yes, some support from community members, but also mounting pressure for Mayor Adams to step aside. And we keep our eye right now on Gracie Mansion. A little bit of movement, some NYPD outside, but mainly quiet, although we expect to see at some point this morning Mayor Adams leave and make his way to court for his scheduled arraignment.
I will continue to do the job for 8.3 million New Yorkers that I was elected to do.
Mayor Eric Adams urged New Yorkers to keep an open mind as he spoke outside Gracie Mansion Wednesday, maintaining his innocence.
I stand here today with my leaders and one of the best mayors ever.
But many community members and city leaders have been vocal, calling for the mayor to step down.
I ask the mayor
to seriously and honestly consider whether full attention can be given to our deserving New Yorkers.
I've called for him to step down, and I think that's what he should do if he truly cares about New Yorkers.
What comes next for Adams remains uncertain as public pressure grows. Many are wondering if Governor Kathy Hochul will step in. Under state law, she does have the power to remove him from office. If the mayor were to resign or be removed by the governor, public advocate Jumaane Williams would take over on an interim basis and would have 3 days to call for a special election that would have to be held within 80 days. However, Adams has said repeatedly he plans to continue his work as mayor.
Wait to hear our defense before making any judgments.
And again, Adams' arraignment is scheduled for 12 noon, so we will be keeping a close watch here on the mayor's residence as we expect him in the next few hours to make his way to court. We're on the Upper East Side. Natalie Duddridge, CBS News, New York.
Natalie, thank you. Mayor Adams says he is eager to get inside a federal courtroom and defend himself from these new corruption charges.
Criminal defense attorney Peter Polano joins us now. Peter, good morning to you.
Good morning.
Do you think he can get a postponement in today's first court appearance?
I would think it would be entirely possible. I mean, certainly the lawyer could contact the court if there's legitimate reasons. It's a first appearance, and I don't see why not. On the other hand, it's just the initial appearance, the arraignment, and the court may say, let's just get this over with. We got a long road ahead of us. Let's start it today.
How difficult are these kind of financial corruption cases to prove?
They, just listening and reading through the indictment, they are difficult to prove because we've got a lot of unknown sources right now, and a lot of things that we don't know. I assume the U.S. attorney does know that they have their case. It's a paper case, and those for prosecutors are easy. But you've also got to teach the jurors election law, which can be very wonky for most of us, not something that we either understand readily or are that worked up about. It's different than a more violent crime or something. You can get a jury that just says, who cares at the end of the day? And that can be a problem for prosecutors as well.
With your experience in criminal defense, do you agree with Adams' stated desire for a speedy trial here?
Yes and no. My experience has always been that the speediness can help the prosecution. A lot of times the defense needs more time to formulate their defense, to investigate. You know, the prosecution's been working on this for some time. It was some time ago that they seized things, and they've already had some time. His defense team will need the time as well. But I do agree with the comment we just heard. Wait till we've heard his defense before we make any judgment. That's the way our system works. It doesn't change whether it's mayor of New York, president of the United States, or any other average citizen.
Criminal defense attorney Peter Polano, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
And stay with us for continuing coverage.
I mean, some things, there's no defense. I don't really know how you can defend that. And it's not like just anybody is going after him. It's the FBI. The FBI is the one that raided him. So I just want to show you guys my breakfast real quick. So there's a donut place down the street and they make amazing donuts. So this one is a pumpkin donut and it has like this beautiful glaze on it and it's like crispy. I don't know how they did it. I was eating it the other day and I was like, how did they do this? Because I've made donuts before and made a pretty good glaze. And then in Texas, kolaches are pretty popular. Kolaches are like a sausage with dough around it. So I have a croissant kolache. So it is a croissant with a sausage inside, sausage and cheese. So I got a fancy kolache this morning. So that's my breakfast. I bought it earlier, but I wanted to wait a little bit to eat. So that's why I ran downstairs earlier. All right, so next story. Now on to the 2 ex-fire chiefs that have been arrested because of the mayor.
The scandal surrounding New York Mayor Eric Adams appears to be growing this morning. 2 former fire department chiefs are now out on bail after being arrested for bribery on Monday.
They are the latest moving among several other ongoing federal investigations happening in the Big Apple involving Mayor Adams and his associates. Manhattan's Attorney General declined to answer whether the case against the fire chiefs is connected to Mayor Adams. But so far, at least 16 people have had their homes searched, their devices seized, or they've been questioned about possible corruption.
Jeff Colton is here with what we need to know about all of this. He is the co-author of Politico's New York Playbook and has been following politics in the city for a decade. This is a really fascinating story here. Federal authorities, they've been investigating possible corruption for at least a year now, and the main focus seems to be ties to Turkey. What have you found so far?
Yes, we are all just on, frankly, pins and needles, waiting to see what comes out of these investigations. There are about 4 now, and yes, the latest was this kind of classic case of fire department corruption yesterday, where some top chiefs were taking bribes in order to move buildings to the top of the line for inspections. But that's just a tiny side piece of this. I mean, the bigger picture is that people very close to Eric Adams, we're talking his top deputy mayor, his police commissioner, have all been caught up in federal probes. And we're waiting for more details, but it's been just a very stressful time in the city and a very bad look for Mayor Adams as he tries to explain this away and say that he's staying focused and not getting distracted.
Well, speaking of not getting distracted, I mean, this is the mayor's first term in office. He's up for re-election next year. Obviously, he has not been indicted. We don't want to jump the gun there, but there are some calls for him to resign. So how damaging is this truly for him? I mean, there's a saying out there that where there's smoke, there's fire, and many people may choose to believe that when it comes to voting for him again or not.
Yeah, he's up for re-election next year in 2025. And there's already a lot of challengers coming out and saying, you know, it's time for a change. Let's only make him a one-term mayor. A lot of references to Chicago with Mayor Lori Lightfoot only winning 1 term recently. Now, that said, I do think that Mayor Eric Adams could survive this. Like you said, there's no indictments yet. Yes, he has lost his police commissioner, but so far he hasn't. It doesn't seem like the mayor is going to be personally implicated in any of these. Again, you know, time will tell, but I do think that there's a world where the mayor plays this effectively, says that I'm still the guy, you can trust me. You know, this is sure, there's other people in the administration that have done bad things, but I'm still the one. So we're all going to be really paying attention for the next year to this re-election effort by Adams.
That said, his administration is also dealing with some staffing issues. What impact is that having on its ability to oversee the city's operations?
Yeah, New York City has a famously massive government. And, you know, even though staffing is down, he had some trouble to recruit. That's been turning around. More people have been joining the government, getting jobs as they've had some flexibility now with work from home. And yes, of course, he at the same time has lost some of his top people. That is to say, his police commissioner. We're out a police commissioner right now. We are out leader of the law department. We're out his chief counsel. Those are all tied to, yes, this controversy, these investigations. And so the mayor needs to be staffing up at the highest levels of his administration, I think, to kind of get back the trust of a lot of.
No. Yeah. So this story came out 9 days ago. So this was before the indictment. So I wonder, I don't know that guy realized how wrong he was going to be, because shortly after, a week after this interview, the mayor has been indicted. All right. So another New York official caught on camera bragging about sex parties. I mean, I guess it depends. So let's find out.
The city's COVID.
Whoops. No, what did I do? I touched it.
Czar, former COVID czar, Dr. Jay Varma, is not denying that he partied during the pandemic, but he says his shocking comments caught on hidden camera are taken out of context. Let's get right to Good Day's Briella Tomasetti. She is live at City Hall this morning with the latest. Briella, good morning.
Tashani, yeah, good morning to you. And if you're just catching up, Dr. Jay Varma was caught on camera, secretly recorded, talking about how he hosted drug-fueled sex parties, went to underground raves, and had to, quote, be kind of sneaky about it because he was running the entire COVID response in the city. Former Mayor de Blasio praised him for his handling of the pandemic, which included a highly controversial vaccine mandate that got some people fired and forced others to quit their jobs. Neither de Blasio, who appointed Varma, or the current mayor, Eric Adams, commented on the scandal, but this certainly isn't the last we'll be hearing about it.
Do you think they'd have gotten like a hard time if like New York City found out that you're having sex parties during COVID?
Yeah. In a scathing video released by conservative podcaster Steven Crowder, Dr. Jay Varma, New York City's former COVID czar, boasts about throwing sex parties during the height of the pandemic. The clips posted to Crowder's YouTube channel seem to have been compiled from several different recordings where Varma is caught on camera speaking to a woman about hosting drug-fueled orgies with his wife and attending underground dance parties with more than 200 people.
It was fun. We all took Molly.
In a statement released to the New York Times, Varma said he was targeted by an operative for an extremist right-wing organization determined to malign public health officials and take down the public health system in America. He added, "I stand by my efforts to get New Yorkers vaccinated against COVID-19. Varma didn't deny the recordings were real, but said they'd been spliced, diced, and taken out of context. He also admitted to attending 3 gatherings between August 2020 and June of 2021.
Everything that we do to prevent infections, keeping distance, wearing masks, washing our hands, we need to be even more rigorous about.
During that same exact time period, Varma regularly appeared on Fox 5, encouraging New Yorkers to mask up, stay home, and practice social distancing as public health officials sought to contain the deadly virus.
These new variants account for 51% of all cases that we have in the city right now.
He also sat next to former Mayor Bill de Blasio, who tapped him for the job during daily news briefings, updating New Yorkers about the city's progress in stopping the spread. Elected officials on both sides of the aisle are now speaking out. Joe Borelli, the city council's Republican minority leader, told The Times, "I recall being treated like a pariah for pointing out the obvious at that time, that many of our so-called leaders were just making up illogical rules as they went along. Still, I couldn't have predicted how full of it they actually were." Democratic City Councilman Robert Holden called on the current mayor, Eric Adams, to investigate, telling the paper in part, "It's alarming, especially with so many first responders, city workers, and everyday New Yorkers losing their jobs." After working for the city, Varma went on to become medical director at Weill Cornell Medical College's Center for Pandemic Prevention and Response. Now he is the executive vice president and chief medical officer at pharmaceutical company Siga Technologies. No word yet on how this news may impact his current job. For now, we're live here.
Dude, what a hypocrite. How are you going to set those rules and then literally go have orgies and go to raves and stuff like that? Like, you were definitely part of the problem. What if you spread it to a bunch of people? Like, dude. And from August 2020 to June 2021, that was like the worst time. One of my friends lives in New York, and during COVID, she was so freaked out because it was constant alarms, constant ambulances, and they didn't live very far from a hospital, and they had, a tent set up and all that stuff. Yeah, he was likely spreading more than COVID. Yeah. That's why don't I go to sex parties? Because there's people like that man there. I'm good. I'm so good on that. That is not what I expected. I did not expect that at all. I thought it was going to be a sex party with Diddy or something. And I'm like, well, it doesn't mention Diddy. It's just him and his wife. What could be the problem? Well, that's definitely a problem. All right. So our next story has to do with a man attacking his girlfriend and her sons. He attacked all of them with a baseball bat, and he has a history of violence. So I do expect this to go to trial soon. It doesn't look like one of the kids is going to make it, but he's a violent felon, so let's hope that they're not easy on him.
First up right now at 6 tonight, new details on the husband accused of beating his wife and stepsons using a baseball bat. Thank you for joining us tonight here at the News at 6. I'm Mark Zinni.
And hi, everyone. I'm Erin Connolly. A judge just set the bond for Abdul Rahim Suleiman at $10 million. This attack happened in Bridgeport yesterday. Channel 3 Eyewitness News reporter Dylan Fearon is live outside the courthouse with some new details. Dylan.
Mark, Aaron, the mother and sons, just 6 and 4 years old, are all in the hospital right now. Suleiman has been charged with attempted murder and assault. And earlier today, before his court appearance, there was another violent incident.
Yes, I understand.
In handcuffs and a blue prison jumpsuit, Abdul Rahim Suleiman tries speaking to the judge.
No, Your Honor, I would like to address the court.
It's difficult to understand him with his long hair covering his face, his attorney talking him out of it. But Suleiman's allegedly said and done enough, accused of beating his wife and 2 stepsons with a baseball bat.
The strength of the state's case is extremely strong, the facts of which are gruesome to say the least.
The attack happened on Bridgeport's Main Street Wednesday morning. The mother called police saying, "Please help us. He's hitting us with a bat. My kids, my son, please help us." Luckily, an officer was nearby. Witnesses quickly pointed to Suleiman walking in the area. He was arrested, charged with attempted murder and assault. Police are listing the 6-year-old boy in critical condition, while the 4-year-old and their mother are stable. But prosecutors today with a heartbreaking update on the older son.
The likelihood of survival of this individual is close to zero. The defendant has a past history of violence, not just in this state, but in the state of New Jersey, where he did 7 years for aggravated assault.
The mother told police Suleiman had accused her of having sex with other men. Before his arraignment today, Suleiman allegedly had another violent incident in his holding cell.
According to the marshals, this individual, while down in lockup, slapped one of the marshals in the face and then spit on one of the other marshals.
Maria Green is walking home from church.
That's what we were actually praying about today. I actually was praying for our children and this generation, because it's crazy out here.
The mother had also told police yesterday that Suleiman had been smoking PCP recently, Mark and Aaron, we also know there's a very good chance Suleiman is back in court tomorrow on the slapping and spitting incident. Live in Bridgeport tonight, I'm Dylan Fearon, Channel 3 Eyewitness News.
All just horrifying. Dylan, thank you. If you or someone you know might be with a violent partner, please know help is always available. You can call or text the Connecticut Safe Connect hotline. That number is right on your screen.
I don't know why the hell anybody does PCP. Like, PCP has been around for a while, and everybody's heard the stories. People get naked or do something crazy. There was some rapper that like ate his girlfriend's lungs or something wild like that. I'm pretty sure. And someone else cut off his hoo-ha under that. So, like, that doesn't sound like a good time. Like, that's not something I want to do. I don't want to do something where you have a complete break from reality. And it's even in the movie Friday. The guy gets naked, runs around, and ends up in a chicken coop. Like, why the hell would anybody want to do PCP? That doesn't make any sense to me. There's so many other drugs, guy. And that's what you decide to do. But clearly they're just a piece of shit because they have a violent history and they're in jail and just decide to walk up and slap a marshal and spit in their face. Yeah, let me look up PCP effects. anxiety, delusions. Yeah, in the movie he didn't know, but it shows the side effects. But like this guy knew what he was doing because his girlfriend knew what he was doing. So it says the side effects of PCP: anxiety, delusions, paranoia, trouble forming coherent thoughts, suicidal thoughts, bizarre behavior, becoming violent. Effects can be felt in 2 to 5 minutes and last anywhere from 6 to 24 hours. They get an out of body experience. It's a dissociative, an anesthetic. I think isn't it a horse tranquilizer? Angel dust also. Yeah. No, I'm so good. Like none of that sounds appealing. The National Institute of Health may induce acute schizophrenia, audiovisual hallucinations. No, no, thank you. None of that. No, thank you. No, no, no. Like, I'm good. Like, I don't like. How the hell do you even get PCP? Why would any? Yeah, like I don't understand why anybody would want to do that. I do know that they used to, I don't know if they still do, they used to smoke formaldehyde, like dip joints or cigarettes in formaldehyde and smoke that too. But yeah, PCP just doesn't sound like a good time at all. All right, so moving on to Las Vegas, a convicted pimp refuses to be sentenced.
Meantime, a convicted pimp refuses to be sentenced in court this morning.
Only our 8 News Now investigators were there as he tried to argue with the judge.
Vanessa Murphy has this story that you'll only see here. Now, we do want to warn you, there is content of a sensitive nature in this report.
It's no secret sex trafficking is a major problem, especially here in Las Vegas. Richard Babb's case is an example. Prosecutors say the now convicted pimp victimized 4 teenage girls. He could face 59 years to life in prison, and he is still putting up a fight. Richard Babb trying to argue with Clark County District Court Judge Michelle Levitt and also trying to hide from our camera. This was supposed to be the 23-year-old man's sentencing Tuesday morning, but he's blaming his defense attorney, even calling him a monster.
Leaving me dry, leaving me out, just oblivious to everything that's going on in my case.
Defense attorney Ozzie Fumo, appearing here virtually, is a longtime and well-regarded figure in the Las Vegas legal community. Babb has gone through several attorneys. We reached out to Fumo about what unfolded here. He declined to comment. Babb could spend the rest of his life in prison. Prosecutors say his victims include 13 and 14-year-old girls he gave marijuana to in exchange for oral sex after communicating on Snapchat, and 2 15-year-old girls he sex trafficked, asking one to walk the blade, meaning work as a prostitute for him. She testified he dropped her off on Tropicana, a well-known corridor for sex work. She was rescued after Metro Police found her in a car with a John. Babb went to trial, the jury finding him guilty of 10 counts, including sex trafficking a child, sexual assault with a minor, soliciting a child for prostitution, and more. Judge Levitt agreeing to postpone Babb's sentencing while he remains defiant.
I don't trust that.
Babb is expected back in court on June 6th. Reporting in Las Vegas, Vanessa Murphy, 8 News Now.
Yeah, that's crazy. So this story was 3 months ago. So that's why they said June 6th. But yeah, he's only 23. He looks really young. But like those braids, and he's trying to act like a thug with those braids. And he's so little. He's very skinny. He looked like a girl, kind of. I thought it was a girl. Anyway. So we had also spoken the other day about all different kinds of scams. The brushing scam is one of them. And a brushing scam is when a package just shows up at your house. It could be anything, like a spatula shows up at your house and you're like, why the hell did I get a spatula? So what happens is these scammers send packages to whatever address because they're scamming somebody that bought a product, and then they're sending them the tracking. So when the people try to dispute it, they're like, no, look, I sent the package. So sometimes one house will get a bunch of packages. We saw a lady the other day that got a ring and then it had a QR code on it to scan to register for the warranty. And it turned out that that QR code was stealing people's information. So we got to be extra cautious. So if you magically get a package, it could be something pertaining to a scam. So this one person in Virginia got hundreds of Amazon packages sent to them.
Cindy Smith doesn't like waste.
Man, so much plastic packaging drives me crazy.
So when more than 100 Amazon boxes started randomly stacking up at her Prince William County door,
It's a lot of packages.
she was, well, confused.
I didn't order them.
1,000 headlamps for running and biking, 800 glue guns, boxes of children's binoculars, all addressed to Lizao Zhang.
Mm-hmm.
This is your address, though,
Right.
Does Lizao Zhang live here?
No.
It wasn't the first time we heard a story like this.
It was 2 rows almost up to the covering the door.
In May, Liz Geltman of Northwest DC told us it happened to her, too.
Like these big towering blocks of, children's blocks of Legos all the way up to the covering the door of my house.
Geltman was getting children's sheets and no explanation from Amazon why. Cindy Smith had a hunch.
We initially thought it was a brushing scam.
Brushing is when an online vendor creates a fake sale of their own product, sending the package to a random address. Also, they can boost their rating with a 5-star review. But when we took a closer look at those Amazon packaging slips Smith was receiving, we discovered this was an entirely different vendor scheme. The packing slip showed the boxes were all vendor returns to Lao Zhang, sent to Smith's address. Our team tracing the addresses on all those packaging slips to 15 Amazon warehouse fulfillment centers in 9 different states.
It all boils down to money.
CJ Rosenbaum is a New York attorney that represents companies that sell on Amazon.
You have sellers located in China who are just picking random addresses. And then when they need to get their products out of Amazon's warehouses, they're just having them sent there because it's just cheaper for them to do so.
After WUSA 9 started asking questions, Amazon launched an investigation and discovered the seller, Lao Zhang, violated Amazon policy by creating removal orders with Cindy Smith's address. Same thing in Liz Geltman's case, although with a different vendor. A spokesperson telling us in a statement, the seller account that was engaged in this abusive activity has been closed. There is no place for fraud at Amazon.
And the one thing I haven't seen, which I would love to see, is for these products to be donated to charitable organizations.
Which brings us back to Cindy Smith, an environmental science professor and conservationist. She was determined not to let all this end up in a landfill.
A lot of people told me I was weird. I would drive around with headlamps and glue guns in the car. I gave them to everybody I met. All my neighbors got glue guns or headlamps. I gave them to dog shelters, to veterinary clinics. I went to Burger King one day. I'm like, I have a gift for you.
And with dozens of Amazon boxes still stacked in her basement, Smith is just relieved no more shipments from Lao Zhang will be showing up at her door. Eric Flack, WUSA 9. That is wild.
I want a vendor to pick me. Y'all can return stuff to me. I'd sell that shit. Yes, so technically it's hers. It is hers. Like, brushing scam? No. Vendor, you can use me as a return address. And I would have like a online shop. Sell that shit. Like, it's worth money. Sell it for $1. There's so many of them, you would still make money. And it's free. Man, there's a new scam every day. Like, can y'all pick me? Doot, 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 doot. Okay, so the next story I do want to warn you does involve children. It's a little under a 3-minute video, so if you want to skip it, that's okay.
This program contains subject matter and language that may be disturbing to some viewers. Viewer discretion is advised.
A North Providence man is in jail tonight, accused of making child pornography in his own home. Good to have you with us tonight. I'm Patrice Wood.
And I'm Dan Janik. He allegedly admitted to detectives that he was behind disturbing videos. We should warn you, some of the details of the story are extremely graphic, and nobody knows that better than Gabrielle Cracciolo, who's been watching the story from court today. Gabrielle?
Dan, Patrice, many of the details of this case are so disturbing we can't even share them on air. Today, a federal judge ruled that Larry Albino will be held without bail as this case makes its way through the court system.
I'm so disturbed by this. I have no words.
People living in North Providence say they're shocked to learn their neighbor, Larry Albino, was producing child pornography inside his apartment here on Waterman Avenue.
That's the worst nightmare for any parent.
Court documents say he uploaded 10 files of a prepubescent child to the instant messaging site Kik. He allegedly recorded multiple videos with a naked child, including one with the young child touching him. Investigators traced the IP address to his North Providence residence. Detectives used pictures from a Zillow listing to match the images to the apartment before obtaining a search warrant.
Definitely very shocking, especially just down the street. Like, that's scary. Because you never think, like, when you come to this kind of neighborhood, you don't think that something like this might be happening.
He allegedly confessed to investigators. Court documents say he told them he uploaded the pictures in order to receive payment from someone he described as a perv on the site. Albino allegedly said he deleted some videos because he knew what he was doing was, quote, stupid and wrong.
It's extremely disturbing to think that there's someone filming child porn when we have a daycare, we have a school, we have a lot of kids in this neighborhood. So extremely disturbed, and I hope that he's in jail and stays there.
Albino worked behind the scenes at a Boston TV station. The general manager there confirms to NBC 10 that he's no longer employed there in Providence.
Thank God he's stupid, because he could have definitely used a VPN or another way to hide it, like, you moron. Yeah, and whose child was it? Whose child was it? I'm glad that the police are able to use things like Zillow to match the background and find these people. So, good police work. Good job, guys. Good job. Let's see. So, a quick video, if I can find it. Nope, that's not what I wanted. Where did it go? So, going to show some effects of Hurricane Helen. There's so many videos of what's happening all over the country. It's terrifying to know that these storms are so strong. If a hurricane's coming your way and it tells you to evacuate, evacuate. Yesterday, when I was looking at the weather app and you could measure the wind, it got up to 172 miles an hour, but this is higher up in the storm. So on the ground, it was like 145 miles an hour or something like that. So it's basically a tornado, but like constantly. And it's not something that you want to play with. The storm surge, there's flooding all over. There's flooding in Key West, Fort Myers, and they weren't even in the line. I've never, when I lived in Florida, was there a hurricane that far away that caused issues where I lived. So that just speaks to the gravity of how strong these storms are and how huge these storms are getting. Because I lived in Florida over 30 years and never experienced anything like that. Yeah, I don't think Brandy, where she is, was on a better side of the storm. You don't want to be on this side. So the places that were under the storm got a really bad hit, and it hadn't made landfall by when she had streamed, but they did have some flooding in her area. But in the beach, of course, there's always going to be flooding, but areas are flooding that aren't even near the beach, which is terrifying.
Oh, there goes. Literal house is floating away.
So these people are definitely in a beach area because nobody puts houses on stilts unless they're in a beach area. So you can see how strong the storm is and that it's pushing some of those houses away. The houses on stilts are a little bit safer, but I'm totally fine not living next to a beach now. Completely fine because of stuff like that. To me, it's absolutely terrifying that there's stuff like that and it's just so strong. It can push, um, people, cars, buildings. Like storm surge is no joke. All right. So I have a 9-minute video with the Kentucky sheriff that was charged in the shooting of the judge, his first appearance in court. And I'm going to speed it up a little bit. Oh, turn that. All right. 1.25 is fine.
Paperwork. His office has not been appointed.
Good morning, Judge Ramsey Dallum on behalf of the Commonwealth.
Sorry,
and
y'all.
Jackie Steele also on behalf of the Commonwealth.
All right, thank you. And I see the defendant, is that the defendant at the Leslie County Detention Center?
Yes, Your Honor.
And who's standing next to him?
I'm Josh Miller, Public Defender of the Capital Trials Branch.
Dana Clark, Jailer, Leslie County.
All right, thank you. And has the defendant filed a petition for indigency?
Not at this point, Your Honor.
Okay. And what about Commonwealth? Does Commonwealth want to make any statements before I proceed with arraignment?
No, Your Honor. Other than I don't know why Mr. Miller is present. If he's not filed out an indigency paperwork, his office has not been appointed. I don't know that he has any reason to be here as in an official capacity as an attorney.
Right. Mr. Miller, do you believe that he's entitled to a public defender at this time?
I do, Your Honor.
And why is that?
This is a capital eligible case, and I believe that the cost of defending ethical defense of a capital eligible case will exceed his means.
Would you like to respond to that, Mr. Steele?
I would, Your Honor. A couple of things. One, I believe what he's telling me is that he's been out soliciting a client, which is obviously not allowed under our ethical obligations as attorneys. Two, even if he has and he's been out trying to discern how much his financial capacities are, he's wasting state resources without an appointment. And this court is the party that appoints an attorney, not DPA, whatever division, just because they think he's going to need one.
Would you like to respond to that, Mr. Miller?
Your Honor, in cases like this, it is essential that a defense investigation start immediately, and I haven't solicited anything, but advised Mr. Steins of his rights. And if the court appoints us, we will represent him.
Is he still the sheriff of Leslie County?
At this point, I believe so. Letcher County.
Letcher County, I'm sorry.
Judge, I can't speak to that, and he currently is still the sheriff of Letcher County.
Yeah, well, I don't think he would qualify as an indigent defendant.
Well, sir, we're happy to, or Mr. Stein does have to put any paperwork, file anything that would help the court make that determination. Obviously, the court is the one that appoints us.
Has he filed an affidavit for indigency?
Not at this point, Your Honor.
All right, we'll proceed with formal arraignment. Are you Sean Steins?
Yes, sir.
You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can't be used against you. Have your silence can't be used to find you guilty. County attorney must prove your guilt, or the Commonwealth must prove your guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. You have the right to call witnesses on your behalf. You have the right to cross-examine witnesses called against you. You have the right to a speedy and public trial by a jury of your peers. You have the right to an attorney. If you cannot afford an attorney, I'll appoint one to represent you. And you have the right to appeal any decision that I make. You're charged with murder, a capital offense here in Kentucky, a Class A felony, punishable by 20 to 50 years in prison, 25 years to life in prison, 25 years to life without the possibility of parole, and the possibility of the death penalty. Do you have an attorney, Mr. Steins?
I have not hired one.
Have you tried to hire an attorney? Have you spoken to any attorneys about taking your case?
No, sir.
And are you telling me that you don't have the means to, do you not have the means? Do you own a home?
Yes.
Do you own any other real estate?
Got a place in Tennessee, but I still owe for it with the bank.
Yeah, do you know how much equity you have in your own home?
My home and my property is paid for.
And do you have an estimated value of that real property?
I think the BBA's got it on for about $45,000.
And what's your income?
It's based on statute. I think this year it was going to be $115,000.
Do you have money savings, bank accounts?
I had a check-ins. Sir, it's my understanding that he's in the process of losing his job as a sheriff of Letcher County, obviously, and will not have income going forward. His family is not prepared for this eventuality. And again, I think the cost of defending one of these cases can reach well into this several $100,000.
You're entitled to, since you're charged with a felony, you're entitled to have a preliminary hearing within 10 days from the date of this arraignment. Do you believe you'll be able to obtain counsel to represent you on these charges within those 10 days?
I hope so. It's kind of hard, where I'm at, have contacted people I need to.
That it is going to take a considerable amount of money to retain an attorney to represent you on this capital offense. However, I don't believe you do at this time qualify as for public assistance due to the fact that you aren't indigent. However, based on the circumstances of this case and the fact that we do need to have a preliminary hearing within 10 days, I'm going to appoint the Public Defender's Office to represent you for the limited purpose of assisting you at your preliminary hearing. If and when this case does proceed to circuit court, the circuit court may require you to hire your own counsel. Do you understand that, Mr. Steins?
Yes, sir.
All right. I'll does he want to enter a plea at this time?
Your Honor, he would enter a plea of not guilty and request a date for preliminary hearing.
All right. We'll set the preliminary hearing next Tuesday, October the 1st at 1 o'clock in West Liberty, Kentucky.
Excuse me, Your Honor, we said October 1st at 1 o'clock.
Yes, October 1st at 1 o'clock in West Liberty, Kentucky at the Morgan County Judicial Center.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Anything else before we adjourn this hearing?
Not at this time, Your Honor.
Just one thing, Judge. I do have one thing, Judge, just for clarification. In regards to transportation for the defendant, how would the court prefer? I don't care to do an order for that to be done.
I was thinking that we would have to state police post 8 transport if they would. I don't know that we'll need an order. I'll just request it, and if that's a problem, we can work out other transportation. Is that all?
Oh, because the deputies that work for him can't transport him from the jail to court. I was like, why do they need the state police? That's definitely interesting. Well, it's like, I guess houses really are that cheap in rural Kentucky. Could be a mobile home. What county is this? They said. Yeah, it's a tiny town then, so that would make sense that the house isn't worth a ton. So there's a lot going on with this situation. The sheriff's office was under investigation because there were deputies using the judge's chamber that was killed to sexually assault female inmates that were going to court. And there was a lawsuit that included the sheriff. And the sheriff and the judge were supposed to meet for lunch that day. And then there's video of them talking. And then the sheriff went through the judge's phone. And then the shooting happened after he went through his phone. So there's something in that phone. There's something else going on. And there's so many rumors that are going around this case. Yeah, we're going to have to see what else gets uncovered. So I do have a few videos about the gang that I was talking about, the Venezuelan gang. So the next video, because it's a little longer, I'm going to speed it up too. So the next video, let's see. Rumor is that the judge may have been inappropriate with the sheriff's daughter. Yeah, I heard that. And I also heard the daughter was 13. I heard she was 17. There's a lot of rumors, and I don't know what's true and what's not. I don't want to accuse somebody of doing something that they didn't do. So I know that when it comes to immigration and migrants and all that stuff, it does get very political, and I don't really like discussing politics on my channel. I don't want to say what my thoughts are with that stuff. My only concern is us being safe in the US. My main concern is victims. I don't want people attacked. I don't want people hurt. So if these gangs are coming in like MS-13 did, then they definitely do need to be dealt with. So we're going to hear a story from Chicago, New York, New Mexico, El Paso. And then there's another story, and then the Texas governor is offering an award for arrest with any of those gang members.
America has allowed gangs to enter our country.
The migrants that are coming, they're taking over every block right now.
The city of Chicago is going to go up in smoke. It's going to go up in flames.
Gangs in Chicago are angry over the influx of migrants and criminals in their city. They say money that should be going to the African-American community on the South Side is instead going to what they call non-citizens, and warn that turf wars between Chicago's gangs and groups like Venezuela's Tren de Aragua could see Chicago, quote, go up in flames. Photographer Matt McDermott and I traveled to Chicago's South Side to see what was happening for ourselves after we heard about a police report last month that the Tren de Aragua gang had taken over an office building there. We spoke to a number of young, hardcore gang members, as well as gang elders who have retired from the life, and just regular citizens who are very much part of the community. And they're all furious at the estimated $500 million that's reportedly been funneled toward new migrants in Chicago since 2022. And they aren't happy either about what they say are Venezuelan criminal gangs that are leaving the shelters and spilling out into the South Side into abandoned buildings. I spoke to Tyrone Muhammad of Ex-Cons for Trump, who runs a street patrol and violence prevention program. He's gone straight since his days as an enforcer for the Gangster Disciples. And he said the situation is very tense on the South Side as turf battles between the local gangs and Venezuelan migrants heat up.
It is impossible to release gang members and criminals into our country through the...
But y'all are going to go from Venezuela to the South Side of Chicago, one of the most dangerous places in the country, that's where y'all choose to go and take on some of these gang members. Did you know that Chicago only has a 50% homicide case closure rate? Actually, it might be lower than that. It's one of the lowest in the country.
Borders and broken walls, and then and infiltrate them in our community that's already impoverished, that's already broken, that's already disinvested. And when the black gangs, the leadership in the black gangs in Chicago get fed up with the illegalities and the criminal activity of these migrants or non-citizens, the city of Chicago is going to go up in smoke, it's going to go up in flame, and there's going to be nothing that the National Guard or our government can do about it when the bloodshed hit the streets, blacks against migrants.
Zach Massey did time in state prison with Tyrone Muhammad, although he's only 27. He's a leader on the streets and said he's disgusted by the money going to Venezuelan migrants at the expense, he says, of the African-American community.
And I finally actually talked to him on the translator app, and he told me all the things that he got going on, how they help him get a car, apartment, clothes, link. So it's just like, I just be looking at it like, they ain't got no social security, no, where they come from. He probably not even here legally.
They get right here, they get quick housing, quick funding, food. They get cars with no license. They can't even read English and stuff like that. So they get all these perks when they get here.
I don't know. I've never heard or saw anybody get a car. Housing and food, yeah, but a car? I don't think so. They don't have driver's license. I don't know about that. That could just be a rumor. If anybody sees any proof of migrants getting vehicles too, let me know, because I've never heard of that before. And Amanda, good. I'm glad you get to stay home today, and I hope your work's paying you, because it is a hurricane. So
what we're gonna do about it? Are y'all gonna listen to our cries?
Corey Rogers was a Blackstone gang member for years. He drove us around the South Side and showed us areas where he said Trendo Awagwa and other criminal gangs are setting up shop, and what he called showing the flag, which means brandishing their weapons in front of like a housing project.
The migrants that are coming, they're taking over every block right now in this area. Right now, you don't see them because they come out at night. They said they took this courtway over probably about last week. They said it was 100 Venezuelans standing out in the front right here.
Terry, is it an abandoned building? How do they just take it over?
They just, when you take over something, you just stand outside, and that's called showing the flag.
What kind of guns?
Semi-automatics, anything you name, you're going to see it on the street. These boys got so many big guns that if they're 150 pounds, the gun is bigger than them. I swear.
But they know how to handle it, right? They know what. Tell me about the fact that they're criminals, right? This is a criminal element. These aren't just a bunch of Venezuelans that walked over the border and used to be gardeners back home, right?
Right. And they come from the gangland. They come from rougher gangs than us.
One gang member, who only gave his name as David on a particularly dangerous drug dealing corner on the South Side, did not hold back when he talked about the influx of criminal gangs from other countries into Chicago.
The real issue is that America has allowed gangs to enter our country. Gangs that they would consider terrorist groups that are formed here. We are terrorist groups. If we're in a gang, they let terrorists in our country.
The Reverend Corey Brooks also said to me he's disgusted with Democratic policies and said that Black Lives Matter, for example, has never reached out to help him or anyone else trying to improve conditions on the South Side.
Chicago is a blue city, and Illinois is a blue state. There's no doubt about it that the majority of our neighborhood, they're going to continue to vote Democrat until they wake up. The good news is that there are a lot of people who are responding and waking up and saying, listen, we're not going to take this. We're not going to stand for this. We're going to vote differently. And they're now accepting some of the values that I hold dear and some of the values that the conservative Republican Party holds so dear. And so for a lot of people, it's not about the person, it's about the policies that we're fed up with. And as a result, I think this is going to be the largest amount of people who have voted for a Republican president in Chicago that we've seen.
I also spoke to one Venezuelan man who was so scared of being identified that he put a hoodie on and refused to face the camera. He told me in Spanish that he had to flee the building where he was being housed because a Venezuelan criminal gang took it over. He said if they knew he was talking, they'd end his family's life back in Venezuela with one bullet. You know, what struck me the most about our week in Chicago was how intelligent and self-aware these gang members and ex-gang members are about their community. You understand when you talk to them that joining a gang and making big money selling drugs is often too tempting to resist when faced with the lack of other real opportunities to make money. And for a place known mostly in news stories for being bloody and violent at night, the area is like a village during the daytime. Everyone knows each other, and believe it or not, there's a friendly vibe. But we spoke to a lot of people, and their patience is being stretched thin. I would not be surprised to see the gangs here taking action once the Venezuelans try to get a real.
Yeah, of course they're going to react. It's their town. If that's true. I mean, the south side of Chicago would probably have more abandoned buildings than other areas of Chicago. And areas like Detroit has a lot of housing too. Yeah, New York and Chicago are some of the most corrupt areas for sure. And Harris County is doing a pretty good job themselves. So the real issue isn't necessarily the immigrants. I mean, this gang is called Argua, or yeah, I don't even know how to say it. So it looks like these specific gang members are definitely an issue. I don't know that they're coming in the same. I don't know. Yeah, we do definitely have plenty of our own homegrown issues. Most crime that I see in Harris County and the San Antonio area are, people that were born there, live there, that aren't immigrants, but have had some issues with migrants here, but nothing with like gangs or gang violence, though that there was one of those gang members arrested in El Paso and in San Antonio. So they're everywhere. So now the New York Police Department talking about the same gang.
Police are trying to tackle the rapidly escalating violent crime among Venezuelan gang members in the city who have gotten into New York.
Fox 8's Linda Schmidt talked to the NYPD, who says this crime wave is one of their greatest challenges. She joins us live from the newsroom now. Linda, what can you tell us tonight?
Well, basically what you just said right there, this is one of the NYPD's biggest challenges right now. Now, the NYPD expects the migrant Venezuelan gang crimes to actually get worse in this city before it gets better.
They're waving the guns around.
Correct.
Waving guns and flashing gang signs on this video. The NYPD says these are suspected members of the ruthless Venezuelan gang Tren de Aragua, which has been infiltrating the U.S. for the last 2 years. NYPD Assistant Chief of Detectives Jason Savino telling me it is believed this video was made while the gang members were in Ecuador, and its purpose is to recruit new members.
Then when you fast forward, you see the same individuals where? In Times Square. So that's our concern.
The NYPD says Tren de Aragua has been making it over the border with the migrant influx and is getting established in New York.
What we do see is they are trying to grow.
The gang has gone from petty crimes like shoplifting and stealing cell phones and jewelry to all-out shootouts in the streets. Alleged gang member Bernardo Raul Mata recently confessing to police that gang members are being instructed to shoot police officers. Mata is charged with shooting 2 officers after they stopped him for riding a moped the wrong way on a one-way street in Queens. In court, an assistant district attorney revealing what Mata told investigators about the gang.
Tren de Aragua members are smuggling firearms into city shelters inside food delivery packages. That way they don't have to go through the metal detector.
Guns being smuggled into migrant shelters in food delivery packages that are not being screened. The gang violence is escalating, and now drugs are coming into the picture.
We're just starting to see a drug called Tusi, which is a pink cocaine type substance.
It seems like this is a...
Yeah, we've talked about the pink cocaine. So I think maybe the story in Chicago, because I didn't see any evidence of what they're saying. You're saying that there was, 100 people outside that building, whatever, and there's no photo, nothing. I'm just supposed to trust what you guys are saying. But here in New York, they're showing what the actual issues are and what's happening. Because with that Chicago story, I don't know what to believe because I don't see any proof. I do believe that there are people that are coming and bringing problems and bringing guns, and that these gangs do exist, that they are out there. MS-13 was an issue. Pink cocaine. So pink cocaine, it's not really pink cocaine. It's a psychedelic. It's a very strong psychedelic. It is a research chemical. Yes, yes, they do. No, this isn't true. There is a database. There is absolutely a gang database in Texas. So Lindsay says Texas doesn't have a database that tracks individuals affiliated with, I'm not even going to try to say the name anymore, but he announces that law enforcement officers would create one. Not true. There is a gang database now. So they input, so anybody can end up on that database. So if you get pulled over, oh, they're not tracking that specific gang. Well, it's in the system. I don't really see how hard it would be to just look it up. Because when I went to speak at the Capitol, somebody was talking about that they ended up on that gang list and it caused all these issues when they weren't actually in a gang. And it's a completely private system. So you don't know that you're on it until they tell you. So you have to ask or they'll tell you. You don't get a notification if you just magically end up in this system. I don't know if I believe that they're not tracking it. That would be crazy.
Huge challenge.
It's as big of a challenge as we faced.
The NYPD has faced difficult challenges in the past and is determined to win this fight to keep New Yorkers safe.
We're having success. We're taking down networks of individuals. We're up to the task and we'll accomplish it.
Now, today, I also reached out to City Hall about security and metal detectors at the city-run migrant shelters, and I asked them why food containers are not being screened for possible weapons or drugs. Now, I was told those items are supposed to be screened every single time. And now the city is now retraining security personnel at all city-run migrant shelters.
Yeah, I covered a story a while ago. It was like a homeless shelter or something. And they had a similar issue where weapons were getting in, and they actually had to do a whole like sweep of the building and then do metal detectors and all that stuff. So the FBI is also watching for the gang in New Mexico. Let's see.
The Venezuelan gang known as Tren de Aragua has made headlines, taking over places in both Colorado and El Paso. Reporter Alyssa Munoz spoke with the FBI in New Mexico to see how they're monitoring the situations.
Yeah, Darlene, the Department of Treasury says this gang has been expanding through the Western Hemisphere the past few years, and now right here in the Southwest.
We're right in the middle of both of these states that we're just talking about here. So to think there wasn't a presence in New Mexico would be foolish on our part from a law enforcement standpoint or from anyone else that lives in our communities.
Tren de Aragua is a Venezuelan gang that's being investigated recently in Aurora, Colorado at an apartment complex and in El Paso, Texas at the Gateway Hotel. Earlier this month, a district judge in El Paso granted the county attorney a temporary order to shut down the hotel after a lawsuit. The lawsuit says the hotel has habitual crime activity with almost 700 calls in the last 2 years for service. Some of those calls, the El Paso Police Department says, is because of the gang, noting without closing the hotel, the crime would increase.
There's none of that specific gang activity. Do we have that gang members in the state? Yes, right? It's geography.
Bujanda says it's traditional crime.
Drug trafficking, any kind of extortion, kidnappings, murder, all those types of things, because these are the types of things that they were doing back in their country where they were established. They come here to try to do the same things because to them it's an opportunity to not only cause chaos but also try to turn a profit.
While it's not happening here, Bujanda says they're monitoring it.
They're going to go and
So
yes,
is it or
cause
is it
criminal
not?
activity, but they don't care about the crime they're causing on top of it, right? Their business is not secretive by any means. They're focused more on fear, intimidation.
So is it happening there or not? Because it just said no. See, all these different news stations, I think everybody just wants to cover this. And I mean, of course, they need to watch. Yeah, I think that all the media is just bouncing off of each other because a lot of this, there's no evidence of what they're saying. Do I think that these gang members are in some of these areas? Absolutely. There's gangs everywhere. And they did bust one in El Paso. They did uh, bust them in San Antonio. Like they do exist, but I don't think that they're as organized and stuff as they're saying. It is an election year, like Lindsay's saying. So there's going to be a lot of stuff in the news that we kind of need to take with a grain of salt.
Venezuelan gang Tren de Aragua has been arrested in El Paso. According to U.S. Border Patrol Chief Jason Owens, El Paso agents arrested a confirmed member of the Venezuelan gang last Wednesday. No further details were offered about the arrest. BP agents have apprehended a total of 70 members of this gang nationwide. And Texas Governor Greg Abbott announced that his office is offering a reward leading to the identification and arrest of known or suspected members of gang Tren de.
So Abbott is offering, let's see, how much is he offering? Let's see what it says, how much.
Now, Texas Governor Greg Abbott announced today that his office is offering a reward leading to the ID and arrest of known or suspected members of the gang Tren de Aragua. Now, the governor's office says people could earn up to $5,000.
Oh, $5,000.
Last week, Abbott launched a statewide operation to target the Venezuela gang to disrupt their criminal operations and deny their foothold in the state.
What about the other gangs? What about them? Can we call on them too? We got gangs everywhere. Houston has gangs. There's gangs all over the place. Need to clean up some areas in general. This reminds me of the MS-13 hysteria. But I mean, they do actually cause problems. Yeah, money for suspected gang members, that can't go wrong, right? I don't know what they're like how they're identifying them, if they're saying or if there's certain tattoos or something. Let me look. Here we go, tattoos. Let's see. The Daily Mail calls them bloodthirsty super gang. That's not, yeah, because one media outlet called them bloodthirsty, and then Daily Mail, the UK site, called them bloodthirsty super gang. So they have a few different kinds of tattoos, but the tattoos that they have are similar to what other gangs have in the United States. So let me pull up the photo. I like that the map, let's see, here we go. Here's the tattoos. Let me show you guys. And a lot of these tattoos are similar to like the Latin kings have the crown. So like the 23 jump symbol, another gang in the United States uses that. Oh, wait, excuse me. AK-47s, trains. Oh, that's because the word in the gang means train. That makes sense. Crown. Do you know how many people have tattoos of crowns? And the Latin kings and some others use that too. This here, real hasta, till death in Spanish. Stars. These stars like were very popular in the early 2000s. Like, I know a few people that have these kinds of tattoos, like emo kids have these tattoos. Clocks. It's a pretty nice looking tattoo. So don't get any clocks. And then a skull with a gas mask. Is that it? Do, 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 do. Yeah, no more tattoos. Let me see. Yeah, so those are the tattoos, apparently. And that's how people end up on the gang list in Texas, because you can have like tattoos that match other gangs and not know that that is, and then you can end up on a list. Because, like I said, they don't tell you. And then if you get arrested, you get an enhancement charge for being a gang member, but you don't know that you're on the list until you get arrested. So if you have any tattoos that look like that or could possibly look like other gang member tattoos and you live in Texas, you might want to ask them if you're on the gang list, because you have to ask. Just letting y'all know. Yeah, so that's a lot. I feel like the New York Post video was very sensationalized, not a lot of actual information. The other ones were better done, like the New York Police Department one. I believe that one. So anyway. All right. Moving right along. Oh, yeah. So a woman steals a Porsche. No, that's not the video I wanted. Hold on. A woman stole a Porsche and then ran over the owner. Let's, got a couple videos about that. How do you steal a Porsche? Aren't they supposed to have like extra safety on it? All those expensive ass cars. Yeah, Crime Stoppers is going to be overrun with calls with, hey, this person's got a tattoo that looks like this. They might be a gang member, but this gang member. Anyway, am I sharing my screen? I am not. Lindsay as gang czar in Texas. Woo! She was going to test drive it?
This is a test drive gone wrong. A man trying to sell a Porsche was run over by his own car, and it was all caught on video. Canada's Peel Regional Police are looking for a suspect who they say stole the luxury car under the guise of trying to buy it. A doorbell camera caught her approaching the victim.
Hello, I'm here for the Porsche.
Police say the suspect was responding to an Auto Trader ad.
I think I'm waiting for my dad, so if I can take a look at it.
According to police, the two took a test drive in the Porsche Cayenne SUV. Surveillance footage shows them returning to the owner's driveway. The victim gets out of the passenger seat, while the suspect behind the wheel does not. When the car owner moves behind the SUV, the suspect reverses. Police believe there was an accomplice waiting in another SUV nearby. Anyone who recognizes the suspect is asked to call Peel Crime Stoppers at 1-800-222-TIPS. As a precaution, police are reminding people to be vigilant when selling items online. For Inside Edition Digital, I'm TC Newman.
Okay, following up on breaking news, Peel police have arrested a woman seen on video running over a man while stealing a Porsche. 18-year-old Sarah Bradshaw of Brampton turned herself in to police yesterday as she's charged with dangerous driving, causing bodily harm, vehicle theft, leaving the scene of an accident as well. And police say that she's been charged with prior offenses in the region and is wanted by other GTA police services in separate investigations.
Is she in a gang? She might be in a gang. She's got her eyebrows shaved. She could be in a gang. She's going to go on the list. But yeah, so that was the owner that she ran over. He looked okay, surprisingly enough. Hopefully. Jesus. She's 18, girl. 18 and you're doing this mess?
We first showed you this video on Wednesday. The suspect arrived at a home near Winston Churchill in Eglinton. This is on the pretext of wanting to buy a Porsche Cayenne that had been advertised for sale. The woman got into the vehicle, locked the doors, then quickly reversed, hitting the man who was behind the car. Right now, Pill Police Constable Tyler Bell joins us live with more on the investigation. Constable Bell, thank you very much for taking time to speak with us. We first put this video out there on Wednesday. Can you talk about the response? And, did that lead up to her turning herself in?
Absolutely, without question. We published that video on Wednesday afternoon, and within 24 hours, it had been shared over 95,000 times. So very, very quickly, that video reached millions of viewers and folks that reshared on social media, allowing that message to be spread. We received numerous tips from the public. Our investigative team did, which allowed us to identify her very rapidly and effectively pressure her to surrender to police.
I had friends all over the world messaging me on social media, like, this is what's happening there. Let's talk about how brazen this is. I mean, she actually hits the owner of the car.
Yeah, I mean, let's first talk about how fortunate we are that he wasn't more seriously injured. But for a little bit of luck and some physics there, this could have ended very, very, very tragically. And to your point about how brazen this is, yes, the mere fact that this was in broad daylight, as you can see, there's pedestrians walking in the vicinity. The fact that one of those could have been struck in the crossfire of this, and you know what? It's the elephant in the room here happens to be the fact that she's a young woman, and this just goes to show that criminals come in all shapes and sizes.
Hey, Constable Bell, when it comes to auto theft, let's talk about how sort of different this is than just the ordinary carjackings or forcing your way into someone's house to grab their keys.
I mean, the concept of vehicles being taken on a test drive of this nature is not foreign to us. Fortunately, it's not a routine occurrence, something that happens every single day. But unfortunately, that happened before. We've warned the public of instances like this before, and then this is just a different approach than it would be the more frightening instances where we see home invasions for.
And as we wrap up, talk about the role of the video, having that video in terms of getting this out there and getting this person to surrender.
Well, I mean, first and foremost, this speaks to the importance and significance of having home surveillance footage, especially quality footage like this. And this just speaks to the power of social media. There's a saying in policing that I'm sure we've all heard before. You can't outrun the radio, or you can't outrun the chopper. But in Sarah's case here, you can't outrun the share button. This was viewed so many times, shared so many times, and it led to an influx of public tips coming in. And we now have her in custody. We have her linked to numerous investigations here in the region of Peel. And as I've mentioned, other services here in the GTA are interested in Sarah as well. So with the assistance of the public, we thank you so much for that. And you've assisted us in likely solving several occurrences.
Peel Police
So she's involved in multiple things. Girl. So young. If you're going to do that stuff, do it before you turn 18. So the son, did she panic? No, she was trying to get away. I don't think she realized the owner was behind her. She was just trying to get out of there quickly. But thank God the owner was okay. Also, don't get behind a vehicle. Don't get behind a vehicle when there's someone in the driver's seat. Also, maybe don't sell your car online. And if you do sell it online and you're going to let someone test drive it, don't get out of the car until they get out of the car. And again, I'm not blaming this person at all, but like, it doesn't matter how sweet and innocent they look and sound, because clearly she's been doing some shit. So the son of the guy that attempted to shoot at Donald Trump's area, whatever, in Florida, his golf club or whatever it is. I don't even remember what it is. The son was just busted for child porn. He was just arrested for child porn.
We continue to follow breaking news out of Greensboro. The son of the man who's accused of attempting to assassinate former President Donald Trump now facing serious charges of his own. Orrin Ruth, son of Ryan Ruth, just appeared in federal court within the last hour and a half on charges of possessing child sexual abuse images. He was arrested this week after investigators found hundreds of files of child sexual abuse material in his possession while searching his Greensboro home. Our crew is in the courtroom, and they say that Ruth showed no emotion as if he faced a judge this afternoon. Welcome to the Fox 8 4 o'clock news. I'm Chad Tucker.
And I'm Natalie Wilson. Fox 8's Elijah Skipper is live at Orrin Ruth's home along Van Wert Street in Greensboro. Elijah, what have you learned?
Yeah, the lights are on outside Orrin Ruth's home, and a car appears to be in the driveway, but it doesn't seem like anyone is home. I spoke with a mechanic who shares this driveway. He didn't want to go on camera, but told me while working yesterday, he saw Orrin walking down the driveway in a hoodie, cowboy hat, and carrying a bag. Moments later, FBI agents swarmed in, yelled, "Freeze FBI," and arrested him right here. According to court documents, the FBI searched Ruth's apartment last weekend and uncovered multiple electronic devices. Investigators say these devices contain hundreds of files of child pornography. It took agents 1 day to obtain a warrant to search those devices. Greensboro police initially arrested Ruth on drug charges on Saturday. They say he's accused of possessing cocaine, MDMA, ketamine, and various drug paraphernalia. Then on Monday, federal agents took him into custody on more serious charges. We reached out to Greensboro police and the FBI to find out what led to the search of Ruth's apartment, but they referred us to the state and federal charging documents for details. Ruth is going to remain in U.S. Marshal custody. He also has a past running into law enforcement charges out of Wake County in 2016. He has 2 of those, one for interfering with emergency communications and assault on a female. We reached out to Greensboro police for more details. He's still going to remain in U.S. Marshal custody. In Greensboro,
Wow, that was a lot. That's a lot of stuff going on in one family. I'm going to assume that there's there's a lot going on there. I'm curious how they ended up searching his home too, but glad they did. Good morning, Taryn. My hometown has a fancy new police station. Even the parking lot is new. Yeah, if you're selling stuff, definitely go to a police station. Maybe do a test drive in the police station. Something. Let's see. So we spoke about Young Dolph. Another rapper was murdered a few months ago, Giulio Fulio. So in this case, Giulio Fulio had killed somebody, but killed them in self-defense. And he was never arrested for it, but he was posting stuff on social media, talking crap, antagonizing the situation, and then the people who were connected with the person that he killed him on his birthday when he was at a hotel. And this was the hotel that when we saw the footage, it was like 4K, like 8K. It was so freaking good. I've never seen security footage that good. Yeah, some of these rapper names are definitely fun to say. Yeah, this story, the last story, I wonder if his dad had access to the son devices. Who knows? Who knows? But something's wrong with that whole family. All right, so on to Giulio Fulio. I wonder what his real name is, because I'd rather say that. Because I can't be serious saying that name. Okay, his name is Charles Andrew Jones II. Very proper name there. I'm just going to call him Charles. So the death penalty is being considered in this case. And one of the ways that they got caught was these idiots kept evidence. They kept evidence, shell casings and stuff like that. And one of them even kept shell casings that was connected to another murder. Like, you don't keep the evidence, you idiot. But hey, we're happy for dumb criminals, right?
Tampa investigators say 5 people came down from Jacksonville and worked together to follow and ultimately kill a rapper who was here celebrating his birthday. 4 of those suspects appeared in court today. Fox 13's Ariel Placencia joins us live in Tampa. And Ariel, we know authorities are still searching for the 5th suspect, but you saw the 4 defendants in court today. What happened?
Well, Linda, today we learned that the state announced that it is considering the death penalty in this case, but a final decision has not been made yet on which of those defendants, if any, will be facing it.
All right, so all defendants are present, as well as their counsel and the state.
That's 4 defendants with 4 different attorneys, all appearing together in a Hillsborough County courtroom Wednesday. Rashad Murphy, Isaiah Chance, Sean Gathright, and Alicia Andrews are accused of making the trip down from Jacksonville to follow and track rapper Charles Jones as he moved around Tampa to celebrate his birthday in June. Eventually, the rapper, who also goes by the name Julio Fulio, went to the Home 2 Suites near USF, where surveillance video recorded 3 shooters firing at his vehicle in the parking lot, killing him, in what investigators have described as an ongoing gang war. In court Wednesday, the attorneys described a large amount of evidence that needs to be reviewed.
Inclusive of the in excess of 300-page police report, as well as what I anticipate to be dozens of listed witnesses.
Murphy, Chance, and Gathright all waived their right to speedy trial in court Wednesday. Here's Tampa criminal defense attorney Hunter Chamberlain, who is not affiliated with this case.
Normally, you would waive your right to a speedy trial because your defense attorney needs more time to prepare.
However, Andrew's attorney told the courtroom that her client, who is pregnant, would not be waiving speedy trial. This means the state must bring her to trial sooner rather than later. A preliminary trial date was set for this coming January.
And if you don't think the case against you is very strong, then what you are doing is essentially depriving the state of time to find witnesses, to find evidence.
Another potential strategy could be
that she will cooperate and provide information and even potentially testimony in exchange for consideration when it comes time to sentence her for whatever charges she has pled to.
Meanwhile, the state announced Wednesday that they are considering the death penalty.
Your final decision has not been made. It is going to be reviewed within the next 2 weeks, Judge.
Okay.
Now, the judge did set some preliminary dates today for those not facing the death penalty. They're expected to go to trial in December of 2025. Those who are, that would be April of 2026. We'll be back in court next month to get an update on these trial dates, as well as a general overview of where things stand in this very layered case. I should also add that that 5th suspect, Davion Murphy, remains at large at this hour. Linda?
And she's pregnant. That one chick, and the way that they were sitting in court, like that's crazy. Well, they don't care. They don't care. Judges always scared me. Let me move this one down further. Okay. So, coming out of Montana, a story with issues with date rape drugs.
Now to Missoula. Many people enjoy a drink with friends every once in a while. However, when can this fun social activity become something dangerous? NBC Montana's Brianna Henderson dug into the facts behind date rape drugs.
According to the Rape, Abuse, and Incest National Network, every 68 seconds, an American is sexually assaulted. The U.S. Department of Health and Human Services Office of Women's Health adds that around 11 million women are raped while drunk, drugged, or high. And Missoula is no exception to this.
Did they
mean,
hold on,
more about this troubling problem? Missoula is no exception. While drunk, million women. Women's Health adds that around 11 million women are raped while drunk. Office of Women's Health. The U.S. Department of Health and Human Services Office of Women's Health adds that around 11.
But like a year or just in total? Like what is this 11 million number? Is this yearly? The total? Because okay. Sorry. That's why I rewound it.
Million women are raped while drunk, drugged, or high. And Missoula is no exception to this. I wanted to learn more about this troubling problem. I went to the Missoula Police Department to learn about what is happening right here in the Garden City.
We have received reports of suspected date rape drugging over the year. Going along with that, they do remain unconfirmed, so they're suspected. When you have the increased social activity, that's where you're involving alcohol consumption. During this time, it's going to raise your risk of unsafe situation.
Officer Bennett explained that a date rape drug is any substance used to incapacitate a person, normally for the purpose of committing sexual assault. Some examples of these substances could be rohypnol, commonly called roofies, ketamine, or even sleeping aids. The worst part about these types of substances is that the symptoms present really similarly to the symptoms shown when someone drinks too much alcohol.
Some of those symptoms somebody can display is sudden dizziness, memory loss, confusion, even blackouts, slurring speech. And also some of those can be consistent with consuming too much alcohol. If somebody's out and about and they're drinking, and then they drink too much, they can also display some of these symptoms. However, somebody who's drank very little and displaying these symptoms, that's something that's concerning, and somebody should seek help immediately.
Missoula Police Department shared ways to reduce the risk of ingesting the drugs, including never leaving a drink unattended, avoiding accepting drinks from strangers, and being cautious if a drink smells, tastes, or looks unusual. Missoula PD also encouraged everyone to drink responsibly, as drinking too much can impair judgment. While it is illegal to drink under the age of 21, if a minor suspects that they have been assaulted or drugged, they can still contact the Missoula Police Department to report the crime without receiving a citation for underage drinking. They also want to stress that women are not the only victim of these crimes. Anyone can be a victim. According to the American Psychological Association, around 21% of date rape victims in 2016 were men. If you suspect that someone you are with or yourself have been drugged, you need to call 911 and receive medical attention immediately. Even if you haven't been drugged, it's better to be safe than sorry. For NBC Montana and Missoula, I'm Brianna Henderson.
A man will spend the rest of his life in prison.
Hold on, I'm not ready for that story. Every 68 seconds, somebody is sexually assaulted. That's a pretty disturbing statistic. And unfortunately, slipping... Okay, it wasn't just me that thought that. All right. I thought maybe it was me because I was like, there's a lot of weird stuff going on in this report. Was it the reporter? Because I feel like it was the reporter was a little special. Like, it was off. There was something off. Like she's just different. And when she was walking in the parking lot, the way that she was talking and looking at the screen was just weird to me. I thought it was just me. She was trying to be artsy. Yeah. Okay. All right. Cool. Wasn't just me. Alrighty. Because I try to reserve judgment, you know. But I thought that was a bit weird. Yeah, I mean, there's not really a whole lot that you can do other than, don't go out alone, which isn't always an option. Don't leave your drink unattended. But there was this girl that went around putting candy in her friends' drinks just to show them how easy it was to slip something in their drink. And she was so quick with it and they didn't even notice. And it's really scary. I saw this one video of a girl that has a silicone thing that she can put over her cup. So that way nobody can put anything in it. She went on a date with somebody. It was a first date. So she put it over the cup and then the guy got all offended. So yeah, those silicone cup things aren't a bad idea either, because you never know. And yes, definitely don't accept drinks from a stranger, man or woman. And yeah, 21% of sexual assault victims in what she said 2016 were men. Yeah, that's a statistic that gets forgotten too. All right. So now moving on to, I don't even know what this is. An EMT handcuffed by RPD. Well, let's find out, because I didn't get to pre-screen some of these stories. That's why they're a shock to me too. I think I'm done doing New York Post stories though, because they're a bit much. Ninja Nancy sells cup toppers. Let me see. Can I find her page? Ninja Nancy. Damsel Ninja Nancy. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, let me see. Does this have her, can I buy her stuff here? I just want a website. No, go away. I just want a link to her website. Damsel Ninja Nancy. Is this website sell stuff? Yeah, okay. She has a podcast. Yes, so here we go. She does have the tools and stuff on her website. Thank you for reminding me of that. So Damsel Ninja Nancy sells supplies for safety. She teaches stuff too. So definitely check it out, safety education, because there's so much stuff that you can do. The Traveling Ninja has the cover for the drink that I was talking about. So yes, definitely. Yeah, I need to get some of this stuff because I didn't get a chance to buy when I saw her at the True Crime and Paranormal Podcast Festival. So yes, definitely check those things out, because we can't prevent things from happening, but we can definitely take extra steps to protect ourselves. Yes, they were at the True Crime Paranormal Podcast Festival. I love her. She's so sweet. Definitely check out her products. So in Providence, a man got life in prison for a drive-by shooting. I hate when people are killed, but I love to see justice.
A man will spend the rest of his life in prison for the drive-by shooting death of a Pawtucket man 3 years ago.
12 News reporter Alex Torres Perez goes over what his loved ones had to say before the sentencing. Alex?
Mike and Shannon, Leonardo Tavares' loved ones asked us not to show their faces as they gave emotional impact statements in court today. Their pain and heartbreak still felt years after the murder.
I wish this never happened. If I could go back and change the hand of time, I would.
But now Jacqueline Rodriguez will have to spend the rest of his life in prison thinking about his actions on May 15th, 2021.
The day my heart shattered into pieces.
Pawtucket police say Rodriguez was the one to pull the trigger after noticing Leonardo Tavares driving through the city. Investigators say the shooting was targeted and part of a gang feud, but families still can't make sense of it.
They say time helps heal, but I don't think this is possible. 3 years later, and when that day replays in my head, the hurt still feels the same. The suffocation I felt when I got the news comes back. The stabbing sensation I feel in my heart comes back just as strong.
They describe Leo as a loving and loyal person who put his family, especially his mother and son, first.
If he were part of his life, he would do everything in his power to make sure we were good.
But the grief goes beyond Leo's family into the entire Cape Verdean community.
He didn't just break one heart, he broke many. There's a saying that all Cape Verdeans are related. So the defendant, he didn't just hurt Leo's family, he hurt his own family as well.
Something Rodriguez agrees with.
I'm sorry beyond my words.
And justice is still not done for Leo's family. The second suspect is still in the middle of court proceedings. Todd Alicia had a hearing scheduled for today, but it was continued until next month. Reporting in studio, I'm Alex Torres.
They showed that suspect very quickly. Well, he's not a suspect anymore because he's been sentenced. He's convicted. Yeah. More gang violence, more issues. There's gang violence all over, sadly, even Providence. But I wonder what they're going to do for the suspect. Like, do they put somebody that is that small with the public? I don't feel like that's a good idea.
Perez, 12 News.
The man who pulled the trigger in a deadly drive-by shooting in Pawtucket 3 years ago will spend the rest of his life in prison. 12 News reporter Alex Torres Perez goes over the sentencing and what the victim's loved ones had to say today. Alex?
Well, Mike, the murder trial was actually supposed to begin today, but the suspect took a plea deal, sparring Leonardo Tavares' loved ones of having to relive his final moments. However, the family asked us not to show.
I don't know why they have it twice. This is the same story with the family. The end of it just shows more of the suspect. But I'm curious if they put him in protective custody or...
Lives you touch, you really shattered our world.
She pleads for Rodriguez to spend his time in prison to change.
Maybe something good can come from this tragedy.
Rodriguez has spent his time at the ACI reflecting on those actions and had this to say to the family.
I'm sorry beyond my words. I wish this never happened. If I could go back and change the hand of time, I would. And I just apologize.
Rodriguez does have the possibility of parole, but justice is still not done for the victim's family. A second suspect is still in the middle of court proceedings, and they have a hearing set for next month. Reporting live in studio, I'm Alex Torres Perez.
Yeah, and it's tied to gangs and stuff, so I'm very curious how the jail would handle something like that. Let's see. Did I play this one? I don't think I played this one.
Well, a bad deal for taxpayers. That is how a local attorney is describing the agreement that'll allow a Rochester investigator who handcuffed an EMT to both retire and receive his benefits and pension. Adam Chodak talked to that attorney today, joins us now in studio. Adam.
All right, Natalie, thank you. So that attorney, Elliot Shields, represents Lakia Smith, the EMT who was handcuffed by investigator Charles Lotempio that day at Strong Memorial Hospital after Smith opened the ambulance door she was in and it hit Lotempio's police car. What followed was caught on surveillance video. Lakia Smith says she was injured when Lotempio pushed her against the registration desk to handcuff her. Lotempio was immediately put on paid suspension. And this week we learned RPD and the police union agreed to let Lotempio retire in March so he can collect his benefits and pension while the department seeks to remove his basic training certificate as a police officer. Elliot Shields, meanwhile, says neither justice nor the taxpayer was served in this case.
They've been paying Lotempio's salary for the past couple of years, $113,000 a year, to sit at a desk, not be on the streets. They could have fired him and taken his salary and hired 2 new officers every year who were properly trained and who didn't go out and do that. If they'd fired him, it would have sent a message to other officers in the department that this misconduct will not be tolerated, which in the end will save the city money. It will save the city money in having to defend against lawsuits like Lakia Smith's, where they'll eventually have to pay out much more money to defend the actions of officers when they violate people's constitutional rights.
Rochester Police Chief David Smith, in a statement, expressed criticism of Lotempio's behavior that day and said the city and the department had to follow New York State civil service law, adding that the end result here is that Lotempio is no longer serving as a Rochester police officer.
He cuffed her because her ambulance door hit his car. Okay, so I have to get going soon. So I'm going to save the other stories for another day. I'm going to play 2 more videos and then going to get going because I have somewhere to be. So a TikTok trend is causing damage to San Antonio homes.
Well, it is a viral TikTok challenge that's made its way to the San Antonio area. Kids trying to kick in strangers' front doors, then run away.
Wow, and the challenge is raising concerns. Residents believe someone will get seriously hurt. Tonight, KENS 5's Alicia Nieves met with a woman. And Alicia, Her home has been targeted several times.
That's right. And for those who aren't familiar, this is called the Door Kick Challenge. It began last year, but started to ramp up a few months ago right here in San Antonio, and it is not calming down. One woman tells me she is so fed up, she's moving out.
It's a new twist on the old ding-dong ditch prank. Police nationwide are calling the Door Kick Challenge dumb and dangerous.
We want to encourage parents to speak with their teens about the dangers and potential criminal charges associated with participating in this challenge.
In San Antonio videos, it appears to be children participating in the challenge. They're kicking doors so hard, it's damaging homes.
I'm just a little concerned that some of those kids are going to get hurt. I mean, there's a lot of gun owners here.
Yolanda Taylor says her home in Leon Valley was hit for the 4th time 2 weeks ago.
That was right there in the living room, and that's when I literally thought they were coming in the door. Can I get to the kitchen quick enough for a knife, or do I just reach over and get the gun?
2 people run up her outside stairwell, kick the door, and run away, laughing.
Not everyone sees it as a prank. Some adults are just so high-wired anyway, so ready for something bad to happen that they're ready to strike.
Now she's left with a giant footprint on her door, a broken door frame, and feeling less secure in her own home.
It's not a joke.
So today, she started packing her things. She's moving out.
That's definitely on the list of out of here.
Police in Minnesota sharing a helpful list for all families. They encourage parents to discuss the consequences of the challenge with their children, monitor social media to deter activity, and report it to police if this trend reaches your neighborhood.
We reached out to San Antonio police. They said consequences for participating in this challenge, it varies depending on the case. But teenagers who participated in other cities, they were charged with criminal mischief for property damage.
Ooh, like, yeah, I'm not going to react very well if somebody kicks in my door. So I have to be somewhere at 11. So in like 45 minutes. So, I might come back after my meeting and do a lunchtime stream so I can finish the videos. I completely lost track of time and I gotta get ready or I'm gonna be late and I can't be late. Anyway, I appreciate y'all being here. Sorry to end so quickly. I love you all and I will see you again soon. Bye.